are here on NTV's Grow. Ag education has made quite a few strides in the last few years, but there's also some challenges when it comes to teaching agriculture. And he says to keep aiming higher. Meet and hear from the National FFA president. We also have your Grow forecast to help you plan out your planting season. First, we're going to talk about pre-season irrigating. Is it something that might be a good idea for 2014? With below average precipitation here, especially this past winter, this has resulted in drought conditions in eastern Nebraska and worsening conditions in parts of central and western Nebraska. With planting just around the corner and rains being sporadic, there is a big chance the growing season will begin without a full soil moisture profile. But research on preseason irrigation shows the crop water use efficiency is typically lower than can be achieved with in-season irrigation applications. And really, it just seems farmers are just waiting right now. The planting season a little behind schedule. The soil remains too soggy or cold for effective seeding, so the USDA says 3% of the corn crop is sown. That's half the pace of last year, when one of the wettest springs on record got farmers off to a slower start in decades. Farmers still are upbeat, though, saying they still have some time to get the job done. The USDA says corn planting traditionally begins mid-April. It's typically in full swing April 21st through May 23rd. As for wheat, the cold temperatures and worries from the tensions over in Ukraine and the exports there has prices rising. May wheat jumped 19 cents to $6.79 a bushel Monday. The price is up 12% so far this year. Traders are worried about the effect cold weather could have on the wheat crop. The threat of wheat exports from Ukraine being interrupted because of the ongoing tensions there also got traders concerned about supply. Corn and soybean futures also rose. Checking in now on what's going on with the USDA. The Agriculture Research Service is modernizing and streamlining to meet future challenges through innovation.
Modern facilities are critical for us to first retain our magnificent scientific core, and it's also important for us to be able to conduct the innovative research we need to find solutions to many of the world's agricultural problems.
And some researchers are focused on reducing beef cost and also reducing environmental factors when it comes to milk production.
For reducing the feed that's going into the animal, we are reducing the amount of methane that she's producing as an individual. We also are reducing the amount of feed that's required to maintain the herd. So with lower feed production that's needed, we can reduce those greenhouse emissions associated with that.
And producers can now sign up for disaster assistance. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack said the programs reinstituted by the new Farm Bill offer 4 different types of assistance: Livestock Forage Disaster Program and Livestock Indemnity Program. They're for ranchers who've suffered livestock or grazing losses since 2011. The Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees Farm-Raised Fish Program. They offer assistance to those producers suffering losses because of disease, severe weather, blizzards, and wildfires. And the Tree Assistance Program. Producers are encouraged to contact their local FSA office for information. Meanwhile, the FSA director has announced there are 8 primary counties that are eligible for disaster assistance. They are primary natural disaster areas due to drought. Those counties are Chase, Frontier, Hayes, Hitchcock, Keith, Lincoln, Perkins, and Red Willow. 10 counties neighboring those are also eligible for certain disaster assistance. For a complete list, log on to nebraska.tv. Well, more and more kids are connecting to agriculture, and they're learning more about it through classrooms. However, some would-be teachers are taking other jobs. NTV's Steve White has more about the critical shortage of teachers.
Of the Nebraska FFA Convention.
With an introduction like that,
Put your hands together.
along with a choir and a laser light show, it's hard not to be fired up about Nebraska FFA.
What's a better group to get into if you love agriculture as a kid?
At the state convention, Dakota Lovett was one of nearly 3,800.
3,799.
13,000 Nebraska high school students have taken an agriculture class this year, and FFA is also at an all-time high.
We know that there are 5 schools confirmed, and we have 4 other ones that are looking to see if they can add a program and FFA chapter for next year. And so there has never been a time in the state of Nebraska where we've had more FFA chapters spread out in schools across the state of Nebraska.
Even Omaha kids are joining an organization their friends don't quite understand.
They honestly think it's like weird because we're like pretty much the city kids.
Dakota is from a more traditional FFA setting in Blue Hill. He enjoys it so much, he's thinking of teaching someday.
I kind of want to get my PhD in that maybe, or go into ag business.
And that's the dilemma. Many kids who'd be great teachers instead take better paying jobs for agribusinesses with deep pockets.
Industry is in high competition for very qualified individuals, and sometimes they'll take some of our better teaching candidates.
Farm Bureau has stepped up with scholarships and a loan program to encourage kids like Dakota to teach horticulture, natural resources, and all that modern FFA entails. Teaching may not pay like private industry, but has other rewards.
Those teachers are mentors to those students and make a difference every day.
9 times in the last 3 years, they've advertised these positions, but haven't been able to fill them. The Nebraska Farm Bureau, they've offered scholarships for those in college and also a program to help pay off student loans. And when it comes to students showing interest in agriculture, it was definitely present at the state FFA convention in Lincoln. 3,800 or so students participated in the convention, and Governor Dave Heineman was able to speak in front of the crowd and listen in as they react to some of the challenges he refers to during his speech, especially about standing up to HSUS.
We will stand firm because HSUS wants to destroy your future in agriculture, and we won't let that happen. Protecting our state's most important industry is crucial.
The governor also signed some landmark legislation when it comes to water policy. The legislative session comes to a close, but not before Senator Tom Carlson saw passage of his priority bill. It's something he's been working on for several years and says it's all about sustainability, ensuring water for irrigation and other uses. It also adds more members to the state's Natural Resources Commission and dollars to fund water projects to comply with various regulations. And Senator Johans encouraging the FDA to exempt distillers from proposed rules that affect livestock feed. The rule would add new requirements to producers of distiller grains like breweries and ethanol plants, increasing the cost for livestock producers who use the byproducts. Senator Johans says, quote, "These new requirements would be illogical and could bring a safe, mutually beneficial system to a screeching halt." The highest beef prices since 1987 is hitting the pocketbooks of many consumers out there across the country. A dwindling number of cattle and growing export demand has tightened the supply and caused the average retail cost of fresh beef to climb to $5.28 a pound in February, 24 cents higher than January. Prices likely will stay high for a couple of years as cattle producers start to rebuild herds. Some shoppers are turning to chicken or pork, though those prices are on the rise as well. The Nebraska Cattlemen Organization, it praises lawmakers for taking a stand on immigration reform. Cattlemen say immigration is vital to maintaining a strong agricultural workforce. The resolution was sponsored by Senator John Whiteman of Lexington, and it did pass. It also calls on Congress to get on with the business of immigration reform. National Cattlemen also join an organization that's focused on beef export. They're now members of the U.S. Meat Export Federation, and cattlemen say it's in line with their core goal of making Nebraska the global beef epicenter. U.S. beef exports topped $6 billion for the first time in 2013. The USMEF is committed to continuing the industry's growth through exports with groups like Nebraska Cattlemen. Many of you are waiting to kickstart the planting season. We have your grow forecast to help you map out your plans. That's coming up later on. And of course, next we have an interview to tell you more about what happened at the FFA convention. Stay with us.